Hey, Northbrook fam, just wanted to shoot a quick video, kind of follow up from the sermon. And as we talk about sharing and talking about sexual sin and sexual temptation with others in our community groups or one-on-one, that could just be a situation we struggle with or we're nervous going into. And so hopefully this will help with some of that. Here's just first what I would hope God to do. We pray and hope that Northbrook is a place where God moves in such a way that sin's just exposed, that it comes into the light, that he works and reveals and leads people to confess as a beginning to their journey towards healing and hope that is found in him. And so we long for that. We want that. So we want this to be a place, and we want people to be willing to share about this, the reality of sexual sin in their life. Wherever they fall on that spectrum. And so we long for that to happen, and we pray that happens with you if you have that in your life. And maybe this is something you have in your life and you just never even thought about talking to anybody about that. We pray that you would grow in that. Maybe you have this in your life and it's hidden. You should talk to somebody. Maybe you have before, or maybe it's come back up, or however you got there, you have a mountain of sin in your life that is just hidden, that no one knows about. And we pray that God would move you to confess that to others. And so we just want God to move in that way. But then as God moves in that way, here's what we would hope for you as you share those things, whether this is a normal part of your discipleship in your life, or maybe this is new. I don't want you, as much as I just said all of that, I actually don't want you to feel pressured to share in a way that makes you uncomfortable, or in a setting where you're uncomfortable. I want the Spirit to move, and it is going to be uncomfortable, but even in that discomfort, I want you to be comfortable sharing with the people that you're talking to. And so I just don't want you to feel rushed in any kind of unhelpful way outside of the Spirit leading you in that way. And if you feel that tension, maybe it's best for you to reach out to one person instead of sharing within the midst of your community group, right off the bat, and to hopefully grow, and the Spirit will move in that way. Eventually, I just want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel safe as you share these things, because they're sensitive, and I want you to feel that you can trust the people that you're sharing that sensitive information with. And now I don't want you to be I want you to be courageous. I don't want you to cower away from sharing, but I do want you to feel safe. And then also, I want you to be clear. As we share, sometimes we back off sharing by just being very general, like, oh, I struggle with lust, or we keep it far in the distance, like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, I struggled in this way, knowing we have current struggles that we need to be sharing, but we just don't want to. And so we need to stay away from generalities that aren't helpful, and we need to be clear. And by clear, I don't mean every gory detail. The Bible is really clear when it talks about sexual immorality and sexual sin. Even with David and Bathsheba, it's very clear. We all know what happened, but there really aren't any gory details also. And so we can be clear about what struggles look like in the midst of our life without oversharing, but we also need to be careful of not undersharing. And then when people do share, I think of David in Psalm 32. One of the things that kind of led him to sharing, and what he felt like when he wasn't sharing what he knew he needed to. It says, "For when I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was dried up as by the heat of summer," saying, when I kept silent and was not confessing this sin, I felt this heaviness and this weight. And we pray that God would remove that weight as you confess to him and confess to brothers or sisters in the midst of your life. And then as people do share, we need to pray for them. We need to allow some when they've been raw and when they've been vulnerable, we need to comfort them with the love that God has for them. And so not just to leave people exposed, but to pray for them and pray that God would comfort them and encourage them in the midst of whatever it is they have just shared. And so just keep that in mind as you personally think about sharing whatever's going on in your life, as you listen to others share, and then as you seek God together, as we long for him to grow and sanctify us and really help us be not just an example of obviously perfection to the world, because we're never going to be that, but be an example of what it looks like to turn to Jesus in the midst of sexual sin and temptation.